About comparing and contrasting with your major opponent at this point, and that would be Patrick Murphy. Talk about how you compare and contrast yourself.
Well, I'm a real Democrat. Patrick simply isn't. Patrick gave $2,300 to Mitt Romney's campaign. He remained a Republican his whole adult life until he decided to run for Congress. And then he switched parties as an opportunist. He's pretended to be a Democrat, but in fact, he's got the third or fourth worst record as a Democrat in Congress, depending upon which source you go to.
And yet, explain this. He has largely done well on a position, painting himself and positioning himself as a centrist. The Democratic Senate Campaign Committee came out in support of him. The Democratic senators have come out in support of him as of September 30th. None of them had made any campaign contributions to you. So what are they seeing in him when you say, well, this is a guy who doesn't pass muster? They clearly right now are lining up on Patrick Murphy's side, not Mr. Grayson's.
Well, the voters are lining up on my side. We've been ahead in every poll since May, and I didn't even announce until July. Think about how that made me feel, knowing that I was ahead in the polls before I even started my campaign.
Let's talk about temperament of the race. Your hometown paper or regional paper said this: Congressman Alan Grayson is smart and courageous. He has the rare ability to inspire citizens to act, and he's on the right side of many important issues. But, and I quote here, he's also loud, obnoxious, and generally off-putting. He's so frequently over the top, hyperbolic in his grandstanding and name-calling that he's often wrong on the facts. And somebody who supported you at one point, if I go to the end of the article, John Morgan, trial lawyer John Morgan, said, quote, his real issue is he has a white-hot blind rage, and that white-hot blind rage will be his undoing. Tough comments.
These are sort of the nonsense that the Murphy campaign's been putting out at me.
John Morgan's a noted Democrat.
Well, he's a noted Democrat. In fact, Patrick Murphy pretends to be one. But the fact is that Patrick Murphy has been smearing me through comments like this in the media and otherwise. And for good sake, he's doing his best to deceive the voters.
But you've called
That's what this comes down to.
I see you described as a liberal firebrand, and you yourself have said people would, what was it, crawl naked over hot coals to vote for you. People say your language is tough and sometimes over the top, and often resorts, as this critic in the Orlando Sentinel said, to name calling.
That's not what he said, but the fact of the matter is that I am a strong Democrat. I'm a proud Democrat, and I move my bills forward. I'm a fighter. And by the way, seniors in particular need a champion like that. We haven't had one in this state since Claude Pepper. I want to be the new Claude Pepper. In fact, I didn't mention this before, but that organization that I founded, the Alliance for Aging Research, that I was an officer for 20 years, we have an award each year for the person who does the most in Congress for seniors. The name of that award is the Claude Pepper Award. I'm running so that I can win that award. That's what this is all about. This is not a question of personalities. This is a question of who's going to get good things done for the people of Florida, particularly seniors. And there's nobody who has any record even close to mine in that regard.
Do you worry, though, that right or wrong, as you perceive it, this perception about you and your temperament in the race is one that will be a big hurdle to overcome, given what is being written and said, even by people who formerly supported you?
Listen, it's what I said. Politics is a dirty business. Murphy's trying to smear me. That's the way it is. I think people can see through that. People want somebody like me who's written more bills, passed more amendments, done good things for people in my life, and done good things in public office. They can trust somebody like me, not a faker like Patrick Murphy.
Well, he acknowledges. He said, I was a Republican. He hasn't stepped away from it. He says, I was. He said issues like the war, issues like the handling of the BP oil spill, he changed his mind, and now he's a Democrat.
Look, he saw an opportunity to buy a seat with his father's money if he switched parties. That's what he did. He's not a Democrat. He's not even a Republican. He's simply an opportunist. He's a young man on the make. That's what he is.
Let's talk about the House ethics investigation. You've said it's politically motivated. Argument has been, again, same article, most troubling are his developments surrounding offshore hedge funds and secret investors. This, according to the Orlando Sentinel, 2 of his funds, meaning yours, based in the Cayman Islands. This is a man who rails about transparency and muddied interests, seeking tax breaks, yet he won't reveal his investors in a stateside fund, and has 2 more based in a country known as a tax shelter. And also, you've been criticized that the funds use your name in the title. It's been a House ethics probe. Where does it stand? What's your response to those kind of criticisms?
It's simply another Murphy smear. Do you know who raised those issues?
One of the Murphy supporters
That's
raised
right,
at least
a
some
Murphy supporter. And do you know who paid for the law firm that actually wrote that complaint out for her? Do you know who did that? Murphy's campaign paid for that. It shows on his FEC reports. This is an ugly, nasty attack on me personally because Murphy is issue-phobic.
Well, again, let me end with a question that I began with. If he's as issue-phobic and if he's a fake Democrat, as you seem to be alluding to, why does he right now seem to have he has the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee behind him and Democratic senators who have contributed to the campaign? Right now, the scorecard for you is 0, and those who have contributed have all made their contributions to Patrick Murphy. How do you explain that away?
Because they want a young, pliant tool in this position. They don't want a fighter like me. They don't want a real Democrat like me. They want somebody they can push around and get to do exactly what they want. That's what he's shown to his Wall Street donors, and that's what he's shown to the Democratic Party in Washington, D.C. But here's the funny thing.
Any Wall Street money that's come to your campaign?
That's not, no. In fact, the answer is not from Wall Street PACs. He's been vacuum cleaning PAC money up from...
Any Wall Street money that has come to your campaign?
Let's be clear about this, okay? Let's be absolutely clear about this. The way Wall Street works is they pool their money together into political action committees, and they lavish it on candidates like Patrick Murphy, who then turn around and do their bidding for them. I haven't gotten any of that money, even when I was on the Financial Services Committee. When a lobbyist came and saw me walking down the hallway, they turned around and walked in the other direction because they know I'm unbought and unbossed. Let me tell you something. 435 members of Congress, how many of them get most of their campaign contributions from small donors? Any idea? How many? One. You're looking at them.
Closing comments, a first chance to introduce yourself to our audience. It's going to be a robust campaign. All the political pundits say they're looking to see how this plays out between somebody who has described himself as a champion and a liberal and somebody who has described himself, positioned himself as a centrist. Your closing thoughts and comments to our viewers, and as you get ready for what's going to be a long 2016.
Seniors deserve a raise. That's what my fundamental platform is here. I've introduced a bill that has enormous support to give a 2.9% cost of living adjustment to seniors this year instead of the 0% cost of living adjustment that's cheating them. And I want to end the Reagan-era double taxation of Social Security. You get taxed when you pay in, you get taxed again when it pays out to you. That is fundamentally, deeply unfair to seniors. In fact, in a sense, it's insulting to seniors, and I'm going to end it.
Lastly and briefly, Republicans in general say they want to do a lot for seniors as well, but they say Democrats always have plans to spend more of our taxpayer dollars, but no plans on how they're going to rein in the enormous national debt that is largely driven by entitlement spending, a la Social Security, Medicare, and the like. What do you say to that criticism that comes from both sides of the aisle, directed at all politicians?
Well, let's talk about that. A Grayson bill would scrap the cap. You may have heard that there's a cap on how much Social Security you have to pay. LeBron James has finished paying his Social Security bill, by the way, in the beginning of the second quarter of the first game of the season. So the remaining 81 games and the playoffs, he pays no Social Security whatsoever. The Grayson bill would end that loophole and make sure that everyone pays their fair share and make Social Security solvent forever.
After the $117,500 cap, that cap would go away. That's the cap this year. You'd do away with that to help create much more money to help fund Social Security.
Yes, and we have the Social Security Administration saying that the Grayson bill would make Social Security solvent forever.
Only promise we want right now is that you'll be back when we get deep into the heart of 2016.
I would love that.
Congressman, thank you very much for taking time. I know you're out on the trail throughout Florida today. Thank you for being with us. Coming up next, a presidential candidate's campaign comes to Florida. One of his answers raising some